Hello everybody, DEMONJESTERJ'S here with 5 questions to a mile maker. And my guest is...
Squidgy Bidge.
How you doing today?
Very well, buddy, very well.
Cool. You ready for the 5 questions?
Yeah, shoot, fire away, mate.
Alright. First question. Who are you? Please tell us about yourself and your hobby, and also do you have more than one hobby?
Sure. Well, I'm Squidgy Bidge, Bidge to my friends. Mainly you'll find me on YouTube at Apocalypse Gaming, Squidgy Bidge. My main hobby is scale modelling, wargaming, and painting building models and terrain. Other things that I do partake in or like, I became quite adept at video editing because of YouTube. It's amazing all the hints and tips that you learn. I like that sort of thing, but I wasn't heavily into it. It's amazing how that side of the hobby drags you in as well. I like reading fantasy novels. 2 authors that I particularly like is David Gemmell and Feist. The Magician is simply one of the best books I've ever read, and if you haven't read it, go and read it. And the follow-up series to the Magician series, which is the Empire series, which is in a whole different world, is a completely different take on the same sort of universe. I love Marvel Comics. I hate DC, so MD that likes DC that was subscribing will probably say goodbye to you now. Nah, I don't hate DC, I just prefer Marvel. Totally love X-Men and Wolverine, the whole Weapon X side of it, X-23, all that side. And bird watching is another hobby of mine that I like. Don't get out too often to the reserves anymore, but there's plenty of nature all around us as well. So that's my main hobbies. That's pretty much me.
Alright. Ready for question number 2?
Yeah, sure.
Number 2. What got you into your hobby and how long have you been into it?
That's a variable question. I started off with scale modelling, which I was about 7 or 8 years old. It would have either been a Spitfire or a Red Arrow. Would have been the first model kit that I built. I can't remember which one, but it was one and then shortly the other a couple of days later. So they were that close together, I can't really remember which one came first.
Alright.
Scale model for years and years and years. Had a ceiling at home which was just plastered in aeroplanes. You could see almost no ceiling for the amount of resin that was hanging, or plastic and vinyl that was hanging from the ceiling due to the amount of kits that I built up over the years. Tried doing some tanks. Loved building them and hated building them at the same time because all the wee wheels and whatnot were just too footery for that age group. Tried ships once, absolutely despised building a ship because it's just a tiny wee 21,000 scale and it was that size. I can't do this. Nowadays, if I went back, I'd probably be a bit better. So scale modelled pretty much up until I was about 16. And from there, I got into role playing. Some mates at school got me in via, what was it, D&D or Warhammer? I think it was Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay they got me in via. And then we did a bit of D&D, and then millions and millions of other systems we started playing. Twilight, Shadowrun, Boot Hill, you name the system, we played it. We all GM'd as well.
Cool.
Our group was a bit different from other people's groups, though. As a GM set, we didn't believe in allowing our players' characters to live too long.
The old school. You better die quick.
Yeah. But we sometimes had sessions, especially like Traveller, where it could take an entire day to roll up a character, and the GM might kill you 5 minutes after the game started.
Oh, that's just wrong. That's fun, but wrong.
We could be harsh, but we did it for the storytelling. We didn't just tell people for the sake of it. With role playing, we believe the whole lot of us as a group, it's all about the story that's being told. So if it served the story well for the character to live, then you fluff the dice roll. But if it served the story better for the character to meet a grisly death, you let the bugger die.
Right.
From that point, a couple of the guys introduced me to wargaming. That was in our role-playing circle. When I got into it, I would have been about 17. But I thought we were getting into sort of epic scale. I didn't really understand what I was buying. They took me to GW, and at that point, you could access epic stuff in the shops. but it was primarily the larger 28mm scale they had there. They had a blue red dot sail on. And for anybody that's newer in the hobby, they won't know what a blue red dot sail is, because let's face it, GW just rips you off nowadays. But the blue red dot sail was buy 2 things at blue dot, get your third blue dot free, or buy 2 at red dot, get your third red dot free, and it was already reduced prices at the sale. And so I went in with pretty much all my savings and splurged it all in Eldar and Dark Elves as a kid. But I just looked at the box art and didn't realise what was in it, so I came home with all these 28mm models when I thought I'd actually bought 6mm. Because it was literally the first time I was in the shop, they took me in, and I was blown away by the shop, because prior to that it was roleplay, it was scale modelling, and I didn't know this other side really existed, and I fell in love. As for the gaming side though, I've pretty much not played any games. Models, but we never get round to playing games. I've played board games, Space Hulk, I've played it to death. I could complete any mission on Space Hulk with my eyes closed, knowing the best moves to move those models down the board to win from either side. But actually when it comes to getting the models out on a wargaming board, it just, for one reason or other, never bloody happens. I'm a frustrated gamer who desperately wants to play, but just models instead. So that's pretty much how I get into the hobby.
All right. Ready for number 3?
Sure, fine.
All right. When and why did you start making YouTube videos, and have you met anyone from YouTube because of it?
Yeah, sure. I started making YouTube videos just over 2 years ago. No, 3 years ago, just over 3 years ago. It'll be 3 years in May.
Wow.
I started making vids not to showcase my models, but to put out hints and tips for things that I was doing to try and make my hobby environment better, or to make the building process or the filling process better. So the very first thing I put out was a carousel video, how to make a paint carousel. So that you can rack your paint, store them neatly, rather than having boxes all over the place, which is the way I used to have all my stuff. So it's just about neating it up. I think my second video was my Dettol video, which is one of the most successful videos today, and that was teaching people how to take paint off your miniatures. When I was looking through YouTube to find how to strip the paint off your miniatures, all I could find at that point was Simple Green videos, pretty much, because that's what's available in the States. Simple Green's not a product that's available over in the UK or Europe. Occasionally you can pick it up through QVC, but otherwise you can't. So I had discovered through a fella called Pepperoni, who I don't think is making videos. I think it was only setting video up. A product called Dettol, which is an antiseptic cleaner. And I thought, well, I want to share this. There's only the one video out there. It took me bloody days to find this video, apart from Simple Green, Simple Green, Simple Green, Simple Green. So I put that video up, and that video has, although it's not exploded, I'm possibly 2-3 comments a week still on that video of people finding it and saying thanks, I can now go back and paint all those Space Marines. Little do they know that the addiction it is to actually strip your miniatures. Because once you start taking the paint off one you don't like, you start taking the paint off all the buggers you don't like, you end up with more grey than you have bloody painted. Especially if you get a wife like mine who, oh, painted that, that's crap, strip it again. Painted that, that's crap, strip it again. 7 coats later, she's eventually happy. That's a bit unfair. That's how she used to be. Now she's not.
Hey, her work's phenomenal though, just so is yours too.
Yeah. But that's the first reason I started getting into putting YouTube videos up. And it was different hints and tips I was showing. I wasn't showing my miniatures at all. Now you'll see more of my miniatures for you, because most of those hints and tips are way back in the past, and any other sorts of hints and tips that I've thought of, I've already seen other people putting them out there, so I've not bothered duplicating the same stuff. So now it's more showcasing, more the training building, some tutorials and some of the things I'm doing. So the channel's evolved over time, just as my hobby has also evolved over time. Now my prompting for starting to put YouTube videos up was part of that, but the other part was 2 guys who heavily inspired me. And that was Terrainaholic, and it was Rubbish In, Rubbish Out.
Both 2 nice guys.
Absolutely fantastic, and I thought, God, these guys are so entertaining. I was actually watching those guys, and I still do now, but they're the guys that got me into watching YouTube more than a normal television. Now my normal television is almost never on, and everything I'm doing is watching on YouTube. And it was because of those two guys that threw me into that medium. I have been involved in typey forums, and I don't get into it. I'll hang around for a little while, and then I get bored with it. The interaction you get on your YouTube videos is absolutely fantastic. If anybody has the facility to make videos, start doing it because of that interaction. It's real fun. But those are the reasons that I got in. It was the hints and tips videos that I didn't see out there and thought, well, I can show people this. They haven't possibly seen that before, and it was the inspiration of those two guys.
Right. Have you? Do you want ready for a second part of the question?
Yeah, I can't remember what it was.
Okay. It happens. Have you met anyone from YouTube because of it?
Yes, I have. I've met an absolutely cool pair of guys, Courage and Honour. They were a shout out on my channel, but I'll give them another quick shout out. Go and subscribe to Courage and Honour. Their very first videos they put up was absolutely gorgeous. They were fully edited, high graphics, HD videos. Their very first videos up, not only that, they actually good quality stuff on the channel as well. And they also just lived round the corner from me. They're 10 miles away, so all the better. I didn't know that at the time, but so we met them at a convention in Glasgow, 20 miles west of us. Lovely guys. I also was supposed to meet in the Coal Shed another guy from Scotland, who we'd agreed to meet up, but due to illnesses and whatnot at our side, we never went to either of the two cons that we promised we would meet them at. But somebody else I'd met through YouTube who I'm subscribed to him, he subscribed to me and back and forth. Most embarrassing stuff I've ever had was not that I've actually met someone, but at some of the cons, within then PMs later, I saw you at the con, but I was too embarrassed to come and talk to you. It's that sort of, what do you mean you're too embarrassed? I'm just me. I'm just some idiot on YouTube putting videos up who thinks he's got a good opinion of himself and thinks other people might want to hear some of the things he's got to say. But that's the people who have not met, but who have then interacted with me after the event saying, I saw you, I was at the bus stop, but I didn't want to come and say hi, so I just got on my bus instead. Come and say hi. Hit me over the head, do whatever to get my attention. I was just some normal bloke that happens to be on thing with it. It was an almost starstruck moment, which I found weird. Found very weird.
Alright. Ready for number 4?
Yep, fire in.
Number 4. Do you have any tips for anyone new getting into your hobby or making YouTube videos?
Yep. Okay, tips in getting into the hobby. Do what you enjoy. Find a range that you enjoy, whether it be the mainstream, whether it be War Machine, whether it be Warhammer, or whether it be something off to the side. Range I'm heavily into is Empire of the Dead by Westwind. It's a range I really enjoy doing, but do what you enjoy because that's what's going to keep you going and doing more. Don't try and bite off more than you can chew at the very start. Pick stuff that's relatively simple paint jobs, relatively simple paint schemes, and don't try and get all the complicated tricks of the trade down. Stick to the basics when you're painting. Learn dry brushing, learn layering, but don't try and put it all together once in your very first model. Buy yourself a pot of army paint or dip. It's one of the great things for putting shades on when you're a beginner, because all you need to do is put your base coats on, stick it in army paint or dip. Do it outside, don't do it in the house, you'll ruin your carpet or your flooring, but flick it off and it gives an absolutely great shading for the beginners. But don't try and get complicated, don't try and do silly things. Break it up as well, so you don't get painter's burnout. Do a bit of this, do a bit of that. I like to cycle between doing my terrain, then onto my miniatures, then a bit of scale modelling, and that way you're not doing all the same stuff over and over and over. If you're continually doing the same stuff, you'll end up with burnout and you'll walk away from the hobby. When you do walk away from the hobby, don't hang up your dice. Don't get rid of your stuff, because we all go through it. We all go through periods of, I've had enough of this. I'm getting rid of all my stuff. I done it and I'm a fucking arse for doing it. I'm sorry to swear. I'm an idiot for doing it. I get rid of a pile of role-playing books like that. It's bigger than the screen, put it that way. I gave all my dice away. I gave miniatures away. I destroyed all my scale models. It was craziness. The scale models actually destroyed with the role players. We were sitting role playing once, the session wasn't going too well, and somebody flicked the dice at the ceiling, it hit a plane, and then half an hour later every plane was destroyed.
Come on. Oh boy.
It was a barrage. But I'm getting off sidetracked, so I do that. Back
Don't worry about it, have fun.
Stay on target. Do stuff that's simple, do stuff that you like. On the YouTube side, if you're getting into doing YouTube stuff, main thing is comment. First thing to do, before you even start picking up a video camera and trying to make videos, is get comments out there, start talking to other people that are out on YouTube. Find out what you like in videos that people are putting up. Steal their ideas. You don't need to come up with your own ideas initially. If someone else is doing something that you like, put it in your own words, but use their ideas so that you're putting the same sort of stuff out that you like and you're enjoying. And that way you get to grips with how you make your YouTube videos. Because you've already seen someone doing it, you've enjoyed it. If you've enjoyed it, there's a good chance that you'll be able to learn from that and put that back out there yourself. But build connections, get to know people, befriend them. Things not to do, and it's something that happens. It's happened to me, not a lot, but it's happened to me enough that it's put my back up. Is if someone's doing a shout out for some other channel, your channel doesn't deserve a shout out as well. Don't go to that person. You give them a shout out. I want one too. Because you get the almost stalker syndrome sometimes when you start giving people shout outs of I want one in every comment in the next 10 videos that you do. What about me? I'm brilliant. Come and see my video. You want to give a shout out to me? That's not how you build up your channel. You build up your channel by being nice. We're inviting you into our house. This is my living room. All the videos you see are done in my living room. I'm opening up my house to you. So be nice. Don't be rude. Talk to the people that are there. Befriend them. Get to know them. Ask them questions. Even if you already know the answer sometimes, there's nothing a bigger compliment than asking someone a question. And even if you think you know the answer, when they come back to you, chances are they're going to give you a different answer than you thought you were going to get, so you didn't know it in the first place. Or they've got a different take on it. So ask questions, get to know people, put up the stuff that you enjoy, comment. I can't say that enough because I don't do it. I should, but I'm very lazy with putting my videos in at the minute.
I think I do too much.
What's that?
I think I comment too much.
I used to do an awful lot up until we connected the computer to the TV. Now I can sit at the painting station and watch videos, but I've no longer got the keyboard next to me. I still got a paintbrush in hand, so I see a lot more videos, but I comment a lot less now. Whereas previously, I would need to sit where I am with you just now in front of the computer, and I wasn't at a paint station, so every video got a comment. Now it's very rare that I'm sitting in front of the computer. I'm normally sitting because the big flat screen's over there, we've got YouTube running on that, and the paint station's facing onto it, so the keyboard's out of sight because I don't want to spill the paint on it. But please, comment on the people. Do video responses. Enter competitions, particularly video response ones. But if, say I put up a Dark Vengeance video on my cultists, that's one of the ones I did. Send me a video on your cultists. Don't send me a video though on your Dark Angels, because that's not really a good video response. But when people are new, they just sort of think, oh, Dark Vengeance, let's send out anything Dark Vengeance to them. Try and tie it in. Most guys that I've talked to and speak to on YouTube, if your video is relatively closely related, there'd be absolutely no problem except as a video response, which means if someone comes to my video and sees it and your one's below it, 9 times out of 10 will click on it and say, well, what's that one about too? Oh, interesting, subscribe. Use your metadata for YouTube. I see tons and tons of videos. You don't see it in the new format now, but you used to see everyone's tags. And people were very sloppy, or people can be very sloppy about putting your metadata up, which is getting your description right, getting your name right, and getting your tags right. If you've got them, then when someone does a search, they'll hopefully find you. And that way, if they're looking for something specific, your channel will get noticed. But don't expect the fact that you should be getting subscribers. No one should be getting subscribers. It's really nice when you get some. I've been on here, for the say 3 years in May, and I've got 600 subscribers, which I am over the moon about. But I've got no God-given right to have those 600 subscribers. If you're nice to people and they like what you're doing, they'll subscribe. But don't get out there and get in their face and say, this is what you must do, please come subscribe to me, blah, 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 because it doesn't work. It puts people off. It certainly puts me off. When I'm getting harassed by someone saying, my channel's great, my channel's great, my channel's great, I actually won't even go and look at that channel. And I tend to get that happening when I've done a shout out to someone else. I either get the harassment of PMs for my next 10 videos, and it happens every time I do a shout out. I get 1 or 2, sometimes 3 or 4 different users who are new, and do you know what? If I actually came and looked at your stuff on my own time, I may well actually love your stuff and give you a shout out, because I believe in giving credit where credit's due, and if someone's out there has got very few subscribers, I want to try and pimp them. In fact, I will pimp them. Go to my channel page now. There's stuff down the right-hand side of the channels you should watch. I don't put the big guys up there. I put the small channels with guys that maybe have under 100 subscribers. So if you don't know who they are, there's some good channels out there that haven't got subscribers they need. So there's a shout-out for all the guys there.
See what?
The real metal, that's her channel. You don't want to subscribe to her. I need to get more subscribers than her.
Sorry about that. I almost cut you off. Why do with on my channel page is that every person I interview, I put you in my box and on that sidebar.
Cool.
So every person I've ever interviewed, and except for 2 friends that I met through YouTube, is on there. So, and I just keep on, I'm sorry to say they're just getting dropped down. But I put everybody that I interview on my channel page. And I've been asked, why do you do that?
Yeah.
Because 1, they were nice enough to, 1, let me interview them.
Yeah.
And 2, I like their stuff. So why should they be on my main page?
Yeah. Well, I don't put the big guys on there.
Well, it's on.
I know the massive channels anyway, so I don't need to advertise them further. I want to try and give a bit of time to the guys that are putting the time in, the effort, and to put up stuff.
Yeah.
I've linked their content. They don't know they're on there, but hopefully I'll get my few subscribers.
Yep. Ready for the last question?
Yeah, fire in.
Number 5. Who do you think I should ask these questions to next? These 5 questions next, and why?
Well, this one, because of the series, I've thought long and hard about it. There's 2 that I want to see heavily. One, because the wife first of all asked for him. When she was getting interviewed, we thought, who could it be? And we both sort of thought of this guy. So it's the Voodoo Orc. So Rob,
yeah, I've been trying to get him.
Get yourself a webcam, man, so that you can get interviewed. But the main one I want to see is somebody I mentioned earlier, because you've done one of the 2 guys who are my YouTube heroes. I'm not worthy, and that was Terrainaholic you've done. So the other one I would like to see
is Camelupian.
Well, no, Viv. Camelupian I love as well, but it's Viv from Rubbish In, Rubbish Out.
I asked for him. I got a hold of him. He said yes, he'll be on the show. It's just that every time I try to talk to him, it's just that we're hitting the time thing.
Yeah.
So I definitely will try to get him for next year, because he's opened up his new shop.
Yes.
So he's really busy with getting his new shop open up. So he's really busy right now. So
as well, and it hurts as hell, but his shop's not going to be open when he wanted it to now. The lease has fallen through on the building.
Oh man.
The guy who he was going to lease it from, it looks like when you read his forum page, that he wouldn't fix the roof that was required, so he's withdrawn the lease. So Viv's talked to his lawyers and he said to back out, he's now looking for new premises. And for such a nice guy, it's another kick in the nuts, because I know it, you'll know it, he ran Battle Bunker, but many of the guys out watching the channel just now might not know it. Battle Bunker, in my humble opinion, is possibly the best wargaming store I have ever saw. Not in the flesh, but vicariously through YouTube, because Viv put tons of videos up. But some of the tables that this man produced were jaw-droppingly awesome. I loved his water tables. They were phenomenal.
for that little basic. It was for Dystopian Wars.
Yeah.
And those little tables that he made was phenomenal.
Yes. I've never seen such a cool gaming environment in my life. I want to open a gaming store at some point, and it's going to be a long time off probably, but the blueprint is Battle Bunker. That is the gaming store that has to be made in Scotland. I would love to get by a castle up north and make a whole destination place, because Scotland's full of them, but that would be something big amount of money, and I've got this amount of money. But
No, I would love to move to Scotland.
But that's the person I would love to see, and I'm glad you've been in contact with them already, because there isn't a more inspirational man apart from Bill. The two of them are my inspiration, and the people whose feet I would bow down at. And they're also so bloody nice.
Oh yeah.
They share all their hints and tips. But if you can get the Voodoo Orc, the first one, he's a sculptor for Maverick, junior sculptor. He's producing some nice stuff.
Yep, I already talked to him because of your wife.
And that's the ones for me. So
right.
I'm being great, I'm saying too, but one of them's already been said.
Okay. Well, that's the show. Now it's time for your shameless plug. Go ahead and have a blast. Tell the whole universe your Facebooks, your MySpace. Well, sorry about MySpace. That's dead. Like Google Plus, your YouTube account, everything. I know that you gave me an email. You gave me personal and business. So what I'm gonna do in the credits for you.
Just put them both in.
I'm gonna write. You're gonna have technically 2 credits. I'm gonna have. It's gonna be one part's gonna say personal on top, and all your personal stuff is gonna show up. And then it was going to be business. I'm gonna write business, and it's gonna be all business.
Fair enough.
So I'm gonna put the business first, then I'm gonna put the personal second.
I'll go for the personal, but the business is just play stuff. The business isn't a serious business. It's just if we make something and we're selling it, that's how it gets put through.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll still write personal and business, but it'll be personal. I'll just write personal business on the same page.
Fair enough. Well, I'm Bidge. I'm not very good at shameless plugs. I'll sell anything for anyone else, but not myself. I'm a great salesman apart when it comes to myself. I'm not on here to sell myself anyway. Yeah, you've got me on Facebook is Bidge Graham, but I'm only really learning Facebook because I've always fallen out with Facebook, but I'm starting to get into it. Main place you find me is YouTube here on my Squidgy Bidge channel. I've also got, what is it? It's in the credits. I'm on Google Plus. I can't remember what it is. I think it's Bidge Graham again. There's also the solid silver scenery pages there where we put stuff. If we make any terrain that we're not going to be keeping or using, or we've made too much of it, we'll sell it off there. I've got some resin bases on there as well. And that's about it. I'm not good at shameless plugs.
All right. Well, I'll put all your information, how to contact you in the credits. So, because a lot of people don't do that for themselves because they don't like. Wait a minute, I get to advertise myself? Wow. Well,
I've got a better idea. Rather than advertising me, go and get Steve Neal because he's selling some great stuff from Star Trek. What's his face? I forgot his name now. Oh,
Steve Neal.
Steve Neal, but he's selling the limited edition sculpt that he got from Doug Drexler.
Yeah, Make It So.
Yeah. I forgot his name. Go and buy it now. The man needs your money, and it's a great sculpt, and it's limited run. You're not going to get it anywhere else. So instead of going and looking at my shit, go and look at his.
All right. Well, that's the show. I'm going to put all his information, all his information in the credits, and how to contact him. And like I tell everybody, 1, thank you for being on my show.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Well, like I tell everybody, let the hobby be fun and keep your blade sharp. Bye, everybody.
Take care.